Welcome to the fourth episode of World War I. Let's pick up where we left off. If I'm not mistaken, the Ottoman Empire had also joined the war. Welcome, sir. The Ottomans first moved against the Russians in the Caucasus, but since they were not prepared for the winter, many soldiers froze to death and became martyrs. Later, when the Ottomans attempted to advance in the Middle East, the British dealt them a severe blow. Subsequently, the Allies tried to capture the Dardanelles but failed. The new borders and the Allies' numerical superiority began to unsettle the Germans even more. As a result, Germany started using chemical weapons and killing civilians, completely overturning the rules of war. Meanwhile, Austria-Hungary still had not gained dominance over Serbia, which drove Germany completely mad in the end. Dear brother, tell me, how can you not handle such a tiny nation in all this time? Capturing it is harder than not capturing it. But my friend, I told you I need help. You idiot. I'm already dealing with tons of other nations. How can I possibly help you? But I need help. We need to find more allies and strengthen ourselves. Who would help us? Of course, Bulgaria. Bulgaria had not achieved its ambitions in the Balkan Wars and wanted to become the dominant power in the region. Therefore, the Central Powers promised Bulgaria, "If you help us, we will help you," and Bulgaria viewed this offer favorably. Eventually, alongside Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria managed to capture Serbia. This also made it easier to seize Montenegro and Albania. Meanwhile, for some reason, as if Germany didn't already have enough enemies, it declared war on Portugal. What does it have to do with me? Later, Germany engaged in a naval battle with the British, which inflicted heavy damage on their warships. As a result, the possibility of another naval conflict was effectively eliminated. Afterwards, the British sent hundreds of thousands of soldiers to the Western Front, where the longest and bloodiest battles took place. The British suffered over 60,000 casualties. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, the Germans gained momentum, but the Russians, though struggling, managed to stop them somehow. Romania, affected by the war, also joined. But this turned out to be the biggest mistake in their history, as they too fell within German borders. Greece, like the Ottoman Empire, was in a state of turmoil. The king supported the Central Powers, while the prime minister sided with the Allies. Eventually, after a civil war, the prime minister emerged victorious, and Greece joined the Allies. The Ottomans came under pressure from the Russians and faced a resurgent British force in the Middle East. However, Ottoman troops besieged the British in the city of Kut, delivering yet another disappointment to Britain. But while the Ottomans were dealing with Britain and France in the west, Russia in the east, and the British again in the Middle East, they were also struck by the Arab Revolt. This led to the Ottomans losing the Middle East. By now, 3 years had passed, and in 1917, everyone wanted the war to end. Yet, neither side had gained the upper hand. So, who would give up first? The answer? Russia. The first uprising occurred in Petrograd, and these uprisings turned into a revolution. The new government forced the Tsar to abdicate. However, a few months later, the Bolsheviks overthrew the new government, and thus Russia said, "I'm done with this war, to hell with it," and exited the war. But the Germans didn't have much reason to celebrate because it seemed like the US was about to join the war.
Shit.
Germany, fearing this, sent a letter to Mexico, urging them to declare war on the US. When the British intercepted the letter and showed it to the Americans, the US became furious and started sending troops to Europe. Germany's only chance was to force France to surrender before the US arrived. So they gathered more soldiers than ever and launched attacks. The Germans attacked repeatedly, but with each assault, they were losing all their resources, while the Allies grew stronger. Eventually, Germany ran out of resources, and US troops arrived, marking the end of the war. The Central Powers faced a major collapse. First Bulgaria, then the Ottoman Empire, followed by their closest ally, Austria-Hungary. On November 11, 1918, Germany finally surrendered. They signed an incredibly harsh treaty, borrowing enormous amounts of money from the Allies and facing numerous restrictions. The Germans would endure years of hardship. And so the war ended, and everyone would live happily ever after. Just kidding, folks. It would only last 20 years, until a painter came along. Yes, my friends, we've reached the end of World War I. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.